Lots of stores can make lots of claims about themselves, but only I can make the claim that nobody has ever paid full price for a new comic here at Alternate Reality. Since 1994, every new comic that's walked out the door has been discounted 15% off. So if you want to save 15% off your new comics, there's only one place to come, and that's Alternate Reality.
I'm sure if you ask nicely, you'll talk about the comic book shipping this week. Even if you won't ask at all.
What a mouth on that guy.
It's only the best way to keep up with last week's comic book shipping. Here's Comic Book Man for the week of February 9th, 2011.
Hey folks, Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video outhouse. It's time for Week in Review. And this is the Week in Review for February the 9th, 2011. This is where we take a look at the week that just was. If you take ShipShape for this week and you take this show and you slap them together, you'll have a real good feel for what happened during the week of February the 9th. This is part one of a three-part, that's right, three-part Week in Review that we're doing. First part, as always, I'm going to cover the shipping for this week and go over some of the stuff that came out. In part two, we're going to talk about some of the news that happened this week, and I got a special thing in part three to talk about, but we'll get to that at some point in the future. Anyway, first up I want to talk about is Marvel. Marvel shipped a bunch of stuff this week, and leading the pack was Wolverine. Wolverine 5.1 shipped this week. Now, this is a .1 book, obviously. And basically, it's a recap of, not so much a recap of Wolverine's origin, but it brings you up to speed with what's been going on with Wolverine. The storyline here is Wolverine's new girlfriend throws him a birthday party because it's Wolverine's birthday. And Wolverine doesn't like birthdays, not one little bit. And on the way to his birthday party, he runs into essentially the family from Deliverance and has all sorts of fun with them. The Avengers and the X-Men are at the party waiting for him. And of course, they're waiting, and finally start to give up, and they start to leave. And by the time Wolverine gets done with the family from Deliverance and gets to the party, everybody's gone except for the girlfriend. And of course, the first thing she says is, "Where have you been?" And they take it from there. But anyway, this is a good jumping on point for Wolverine. Also this week, they shipped Wolverine 1000. That's right, it's the 1000th issue of Wolverine. And it comes with two glorious covers.
Cool.
Two absolutely glorious covers. It's a $4.99 book, like all the 1,000, 500, 600, all the anniversary books are. Except this is a manufactured anniversary. There really isn't a Wolverine 1000. They haven't gone anywhere near 1,000 issues of Wolverine in any way, shape, or form. Even if you add in all the X-Men appearances, I don't think there's been 1,000 appearances of Wolverine. But here you go. It's number 1,000. This is made up of 4 different stories. Spanning from World War II, which Wolverine was in, up to the present day. I haven't read any of them. I can't tell you what they're like, but you might want to pick it up because I did read a review, or glanced at a review online, and people like most, but not all of the stories. As with all things like this, most of them, or some of them, are good, and there's a stinker or two in there, but you know, you're getting the total package, so there you go. Also this week from Marvel, we had Power Man Iron Fist #1. This was the book of the week all week long here at the store. It was 40% off all week long. It was only $1.79 if you came down to Alternate Reality and pick it up. Teams up Danny Rand, Iron Fist, and the new Power Man, this kid here, who they first introduced in Shadowland. So if you're wondering who he is, where did he come from? Shadowland. That's where they first introduced him. He's being mentored by the original Power Man, not Luke Cage, but the original Power Man from back in the 60s. And the storyline consists of these two checking into a supposed murder that Danny Rand and Luke Cage's former secretary may or may not have committed, but she's been arrested for and is sitting in a slam for. And that's what this miniseries is about. It's 5 issues? Yeah, 5 issues. Onslaught shipped this week. Onslaught Unleashed. This brings the Onslaught character back into the current Marvel Universe. Onslaught is going to fight the Secret Avengers and the Young Allies. And in this book, Onslaught is trapped on the other side of the negative zone, but there's a big old engine down in South America that was made by the Roxxon company. It's just thumping away, and it's breaking down the barrier between the negative zone and our world. And of course, the reason they're doing that is to exploit all the energy that they can in order to make money, because they're greedy capitalists. But they don't know that he's on the other side, and of course he's going to get out and wreak all sorts of havoc, and it's going to be horrible and terrible. And I thought the art really sucked on this book. I'm sorry. I thought the art was absolutely god-awful on this book. Also this week, Avengers versus new Avengers, but it's the new Ultimates and the Ultimate Avengers, so it's an Ultimate Phantasmagoria. It's got art by Lionel Francis Yu, which is okay if you like Lionel Francis Yu. It's written by Mark Millar, who's been writing all this stuff lately. The Ultimate Universe does nothing for me. I haven't read it, but it's got a red cover, so what the hell? something. I've got this in here because this is a great little book. The Incredible Hulks. Hulk goes to Olympus and picks a fight with Zeus because Hulk is just the meanest mofo there is. And he picks a fight with Zeus, and you know what? I'm going to kick your butt. And you know what? He gets taken to the cleaners, and he gets taught the true meaning of pain. Because you know what? You might be the Hulk, but you don't fight the king of the Greek gods, no matter what. And he winds up going through some really, really Greek mythological types of pain and torture and torment until Herc here rescues him. And of course, Herc can get away with it because Herc gets away with just about anything when it comes to Zeus because he's Zeus's kid. But this was a great book for picking up because it really put the Hulk in his place. I like the Hulk, but it really showed him, you know, just how strong he really, really is compared to the big, big guns in the Marvel Universe. Wrapping up this week was Widowmaker and this, Invaders Now. This book is sort of like that Warriors book that I was talking about last week from Dynamite. I didn't look up when the first date was that this thing shipped, but this is a 5-issue miniseries, and it has been well over a year since the first issue of this thing shipped. But it finally finished up this week. It finally came out. It's a beautiful cover by Alex Ross. I've had the poster here for a while here at the store. Just absolutely gorgeous cover, and of course Widowmaker wrapped up. And that was your week from Marvel. From DC, and they actually did publish some stuff. It was a non-DCU week. Northlanders #1, or Chapter 1, the Siege of Paris shipped this week. This is a obviously new Northlanders story arc, which is starting in the book. And if you like Northlanders, you should pick it up. Also this week, Cinderella. Fables Are Forever. The first Cinderella miniseries came out about 2 years ago. Sold pretty well for for a Vertigo book. None of the Fable stuff sells huge compared to DCU numbers, and none of the Vertigo stuff sells huge either. But the Fables right now is the flagship title, essentially sales-wise, of the Vertigo line. And this sold pretty well when it first came out, and this sold okay so far this week. And finally this week we also had Dos Ex, which would have been a Wildstorm gaming book if Wildstorm still existed. But Wildstorm doesn't exist anymore, so it's a DCU book, and of course it's an adaptation of a video game. Oh boy. Image! Hackslash #1 shipped this week with 2 covers. If you like Hackslash, you'll like this book, and if you don't like Hackslash, we're moving on. Also this week, Tyrannosaurus Rex shipped this week. If you like dinosaurs, you'll like this book. If you don't like dinosaurs, moving on. Little Depressed Boy shipped this week. If you like disaffected youths, you'll like this book. And if you don't, moving on. And Haunt shipped this week. And the reason I'm mentioning Haunt here is it shipped with 3 covers. I'm going to try to get them out here as best I can. Shipped with 3 covers this week. Book was $1.99. This is sort of an introductory book. If you haven't read Haunt before, this is the book you're supposed to pick up to read Haunt. But the problem with this book is this. Okay, it's an introductory book. It's only $1.99, but half of this book is ads. Literally half of this book. There's the staples right there. There's the staples, half of the book. Here's your story. Here's your ads. Half of the book is ads. That's all it is. If you're going to do an introductory book, don't load it up with ads and text pieces in the back half. Oh well. IDW Infestation continues. Star Trek Infestation #1 came out this week. This was 40% off at the store also this past Wednesday. The Star Trek crew goes to a colony someplace, and the zombies from Infestation have shown up there and are eating people, and Kirk's got to figure out what to do. And as you can tell from the uniforms, this is the Star Trek crew right after the first Star Trek movie, Star Trek The Motionless Picture. And it came with 2 covers. This one is a Gold Key-ish looking cover, and this is a straight comic book looking cover, but this one has sort of a Gold Key vibe to it. Also this week, Doctor Who Classics #1. They're doing the 7th Doctor. What was the 7th Doctor's name?
Sylvester McCoy.
Sylvester McCoy, that's right, Sylvester McCoy. These are the comic adventures of Sylvester, and if you like Doctor Who, pick it up. This stuff wasn't seen very much. It was done in England. I don't remember this stuff having a history here in America by any publisher that I can remember. I know Marvel did a lot of that stuff, I don't remember anyone else picking this up. So this is probably stuff you've never read before. So if you're a Doctor Who fan, you might want to pick
You know
this
what
up.
that is, Comic Book Man?
What is it?
That's the stuff from the Doctor Who magazine, the backup comic strip that's all been kind of put together.
There you go, the Doctor Who magazine. Thank you, JR.
You're welcome.
Thank you, JR. Love and Capes from IDW shipped this week. This book never sold at all when this book was an independent book. Now that IDW has taken it under its umbrella, hopefully maybe having the IDW logo on it will move a couple issues. And another 100-penny press shipped the first issue of Transformers, the monthly series, for only $1 reprinted. Over in Dynamite, Sherlock Holmes sold huge last year, the 5-issue miniseries, and they're bringing it back this year with Sherlock Holmes Year 1 with 2 covers. Hey, look, it's a guy in a mask. Maybe it's Robin. Also, Buck Rogers is back. Dynamite did Buck Rogers. They actually canceled the series about a year ago. I'm assuming this is a contractual obligation thing where they had to do an annual. But this annual came out this week. If you're a Buck Rogers fan, you probably picked this up. It was $4.99. Only Buck Rogers fans would pay $4.99 for this book. But it also came with 2 covers. And finally, from Dynamite, we have the end of this series, Green Hornet Remastered. They've remastered all the books they're going to, and that's it. It's done. It's finished. It's out of here. And finally, wrapping it up in the home stretch, a couple of indie titles. Elf from Across the Pond. Little Sarah the Thrall, the little Jinx, was asking me, "What is this?" the other day, and I said, it's an English book. It comes from Across the Pond. This was solicited like forever ago. I forgot all about this thing. It finally shipped this week. But Elf stands for something. I haven't a clue as to what. I didn't read it. Kara's Magic from Aspen. If you liked Lady Mechanica, you might like this, because they're essentially doing a Lady Mechanica with magic. That's all it is. Not that it's steampunk or anything, but if you like Zatanna, if you like Scarlet Witch, if you like non-superhero chicks in costumes, without costumes, there you go. Oh, and 3 covers. There's a 3rd cover. And finally, wrapping it up, Kids Corner, SpongeBob SquarePants finally got his own book. People have been asking me for a SpongeBob comic, parents, for like 3 years now. And I've been telling them SpongeBob was a strip in the now defunct Nickelodeon magazine. It was canceled about a year ago, that magazine. But they never did a comic book. Now they did. This is from the fine folks at Bongo who do The Simpsons. And this is about as off the wall as you think it would be, considering it has a Bongo and it has a SpongeBob SquarePants lineage behind it. And that's it. That was this week's shipping in comics. And now we are going to go and meet the boys. JR is one of them. And we're going to talk to them about some of the news that shipped this week. But that's in part 2, so be sure to check it out there.
Be sure to catch part 2 of this week's 3-part Week in Review for February 9th, 2011.
Alternate Reality is located at 3149 West 111th Street. That's the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in Chicago, the beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood neighborhood. You can always reach us at 773-881-HERO or at the store's website, www.myalternatereality.com.